Good day to you, my friends, and welcome back to the JRPG Report. This is going to be episode 118. It's good to be back with you guys again. And yeah, I know I said I was going to do a weekend podcast, but things came up, and to be quite frank, there wasn't enough to really talk about to do anything longer than about an 8-minute podcast, and I don't like to do that. So instead, I have waited a week and now have an hour-long podcast. There are a ton of things to talk about, so let's get right into it. And the thing that I was going to talk about over the weekend, and it certainly did happen. We talked about it last week that it was a rumor, but it turned out to be very true, and that is Persona 4 Golden is now available on PC at a cool price of just $19.99. This PC version has English and Japanese voiceovers, as well as English, Japanese, Korean, and traditional Chinese subtitles. If you got an extra $5, you can pick up the Digital Deluxe Edition. You get the game, digital art book, and digital soundtrack. That's pretty good for just $24.99. Considering I paid $50 or $60 for the original Persona 4 back in the day on PlayStation 2, probably spent another $40 on the Vita version. I'm thinking this version is definitely worth at least $25 for that digital deluxe edition. And that soundtrack, good grief. You'll be humming the songs from that soundtrack from now until the end of days. So it is worth it. Absolutely. We all know about Persona 4, so I'm not going to give you but I do want to talk about the key features with this PC version. Of course, there are updated HD graphics, but you can enjoy the gameplay with variable frame rates, so you can max out to your PC. That's how you can push it out there. Experience the world of Persona and PC in full high definition. Although, when you definitely look at the trailer, you can only make those things look so good. It still looks fantastic, but you're not going to confuse anyone that this is a brand new game. It still kind of looks a little dated. There are Steam achievements and trading cards, and you can choose between Japanese and English crossovers. Of course, there was the Steam launch trailer to go along with that. You can check that out over on our YouTube channel, JRPG Report. This is interesting. So I don't think this would surprise anyone, but it sold pretty well. It sold so well, in fact, that it had at its peak a concurrent player rate or count of 29,984. That bests the previous JRPG mark of Final Fantasy 15 Windows Edition, which had about 700 less people playing at that same time. So it has been, we knew it was a great game. We knew it would get a lot of people excited. So now it is also a record breaker. And what's really cool, and this hasn't necessarily happened before, but it does seem like the original Persona 4 Golden, at least part of their crew, was actually responsible for this directly from Atlas, and this is coming from via Persona Central. This isn't the first Atlas game that's made its way to Steam, but it is the first one credited to Atlas. Previously, Catherine Classic came, but it was kind of being published on Steam by Sega and then developed by the eccentric Ape. In comparison, a new creators page was launched on Steam for Atlas, and the Japanese studio is directly involved. They also had some help from Persona, or the Atlas America and European branches, rather Sega's American and European branches. But this is the first one. When you load it up, it actually has that P Studio logo on there, and they are listed in the credits as well. So maybe this is kind of turning a page for Atlas. They've been kind of obviously reluctant to put their stuff on PC, but looks like they are fully embracing it now as a viable platform, and rightfully so. It has been discussed by at least a few of us over on the Facebook page, and we're very excited about this. Congratulations, PC owners who are getting to enjoy this. But the first thing that kind of pops in your head is, well, this is fantastic. However, why in the world is this thing not on PlayStation as well? It makes zero sense why this wasn't, at the very least, a simultaneous launch on the two systems is really kind of baffling. So the only way to get this is either to have a Vita or a PlayStation TV ability to play the Vita game, or I guess you can go back and play the original on PlayStation 2, but all PlayStation platforms. Persona has made its bank on PlayStation platforms. And then you get something like this, and it's just kind of a head scratcher, you know. And obviously the next question is, why couldn't this game be on Switch as well? I think it would sell extremely well on the Switch. So Atlas, you really need to get these things out there because you are sitting on a gold mine, my friends. There are a lot of people who would like to play this game. Again, Persona Fever is definitely out there, so they need to make that happen, and soon. Had a few stories I could have chosen to lead with. I went with Persona just because, in terms of JRPGs, that is near the top of the rank of some of the all-time best JRPGs, so it had to go out there. Plus, we talked about last week. But there are a ton, or at least a few, Pokemon things to talk about. Just today, the Pokemon Company had their Pokemon Presents live stream. They were talking primarily about the new Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion pass. Shield, Isle of Shield, whatever it was. It launched today, but they said not so. The Isle of Armor. I'm sorry, I got that completely butchered. They said we got some other things for you. They are not traditional Pokemon games, but they're very excited about the new Pokemon Snap. Now, if you say new and you have a question mark behind that, you apparently do not remember the N64 classic Pokemon Snap, where it was kind of an on-rails shooter. Instead of a gun, you had a camera. And so you would kind of ride through the level, and you were scored based on ability to capture great pictures of Pokemon. Well, there is a new one coming out, and definitely looks pretty good. There was even a comment or two by people saying, why does Sword and Shield not look as good as this Pokemon Snap game? The obvious answer is you're basically taking pictures of videos. I mean, the Pokemon are acting out in set course. They're not, there's not AI behind each one of their actions, but it looks pretty fun. That pretty much says it all. The key features: you see a different side of Pokemon in a new photo snapping adventure only on the Nintendo Switch. You will research various Pokemon in their natural habitats and capture behaviors that you've never seen before. Explore unknown islands with scenery like lush jungles and tropical beaches, and these in-game photos will make your very own Pokédex. So you can... The original game was back in 1999, so over 20 years ago. They are finally getting a quote-unquote I would say it's more of just a relaunch, basically. I don't know how much connection it has with the original. There is a gameplay trailer to go along with that. You can check that out over on our YouTube channel. I don't see... Yeah, no release date has been announced. This is also being developed by Bandai Namco Studios as well. But that's not all. There is a new game coming out for the Switch as well as iOS and Android devices. This is Pokemon Cafe Mix. It will launch on June the 23rd as a free-to-play title with item-based transaction. So yeah, this is kind of one of those cafe serving puzzle type mini game. They say it's complete touch-based puzzles to serve dishes and drinks to adorable Pokemon customers. Meet and grow your cafe staff of charming Pokemon eager to help. Golden acorns can help you complete puzzles and recruit even more Pokemon. Of course, there's that release trailer to go along with it. I've got that on the YouTube channel as well. Looks like a fun way to spend some time in your downtime there on your smartphone. Those two big announcements were obviously there, but you know what? Come back in 1 week. Another live broadcast is going to be on June the 24th. They said at the end of today's announcement, they said that's it for today's announcements. But there is another big project we're working on that I still want to share with you. You won't have to wait long, as I plan to share more news next week on June 24th. So please look forward to it. That is Pokemon Company President and CEO Ashihiro. We'll just say his last name. First one's a little tough. So yeah, that's definitely some good stuff. There was, of course, like I said, there was plenty to talk about with the Olive Armor. Mostly they released a full list of the Pokemon that you can find in this one. I've shared that story over on our Facebook page if you want that full list of all your Poke details. We finally got a little bit more information about this next title, but before we get to that, one final thought for next week's Pokemon announcement. Let's hope they do not announce another sequel to an N64 Pokemon game, Hey You Pikachu, with that absurd microphone attachment. Funny story, I was working at Blockbuster back in the day when that game came out. So of course you had to rent out this microphone with the copies of the game, and of course, as you can imagine, they were all trashed and or just never returned. But Bandai Namco has announced new information. Long history. There was some new high-res photos to go along with information. Game is shaping up pretty good. It's still, I'd say we're fairly early in this one. No release date to pin down quite yet. I think they're eyeing for next year, but obviously with it coming out for both current and next gen systems, it may take a bit longer to produce that next generation. We shall wait and see. So speaking of next generation, as kind of expected, there was nothing really to report from the PlayStation 5 big reveal as far as this podcast goes. Do not doubt my excitement for this system, but you could probably hear that, those sentiments here, there, or anywhere as far as that goes. I want to kind of keep this to just JRPGs we just talked about a bunch of non-JRPGs for Pokemon, and we got another couple coming along, but, offshoots from JRPG titles are fun to talk about as well. The only thing that even kind of, sort of, maybe a JRPG that we saw was from Square Enix and a subsidiary, Luminous Productions. They announced Project Athia, A-T-H-I-A. This is going to come out for PlayStation 5 and PC, and I only say that because it's Square Enix and their new company, but just from what we saw, it looks like a pure fantasy action game. Really no indication. It was very, very small in terms of what we saw from it. That is still a project name. It's not even been defined as that is what the game is going to be called. Looks good. There's a lot of good looking stuff out there for this system, and I will certainly keep my eyes peeled for anything as far as new JRPGs coming out. It's going to be a while. We know the timetable that it takes to make our genre of games, so I'm thinking we maybe see some ports fairly soon next year. I certainly would be surprised if we didn't see something like Tales of Arise get a PS5 version. And I mean, at the way it's going, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink could easily come out after PlayStation 5. Therefore, we may see a PlayStation 5 version. I still think it's going to be launching on PS4, but there's really no reason to think that we won't get a PS5 version as well. You guys will be the first to know about it as soon as I know something about it here on the JRPG Report. Back to the podcast. If you haven't already, don't forget, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and give us a subscription over on our YouTube channel. If you're feeling especially froggy, you can give some listener support. That's found at the bottom of this podcast, as well as Patreon. We're on there as well. If you like what you hear and want to support our weekly podcast, at least, we always do a Sunday special as well. So 2 full podcasts every week, daily content on YouTube. So if you are enjoying that and want to support us, that would be outstanding. And if you haven't, wherever you listen to this at, don't forget, give us a review over there. That helps bump up the charts and lets more people get in on all the fun. So Square Enix and those fine folks over at Kingdom Hearts put out a 5+ minute video, what they were calling Kingdom Hearts 2020. And in that, it showed quite a bit of new and old footage, and in particular some interesting things with Kairi. But the main bits of information to draw that were that there is a release date for Kingdom Hearts Dark Road. That is the game within a game of Kingdom Hearts Union X for iOS and Android. And it'll be coming out in just a few more days. That is on June the 22nd. You can check out the full video of 2020 on the YouTube channel. It's also broken up within the stories on our Facebook page. But kind of a new announcement that came out of that we had not previously heard about is what's called Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory. It's a rhythm action game entry, which is brand new to the series. Here's an overview of the game. They say many characters from the Kingdom Hearts series appear as playable characters. Depending on the stage, Disney characters will appear as guests and lend you their strength. The game features a massive catalog of over 140 songs, including music art from the Kingdom Hearts series, Disney, and more. Enjoy rhythm-based action through unforgettable music. There are 4 play modes, including online battles. Very interesting looking game. In most of it, it shows Sora, Donald, and Goofy kind of running along a long track, and they have to hit various musical. They had to hit the Heartless, which would then turn into a rhythm music game. Not really my cup of tea, but there's certainly a couple people that were pretty excited about this one. I was a little surprised at the reaction to it. A lot of people love these type of games. They also love Kingdom Hearts, so you put the two together and boom, there you go. Check out that video if you're curious as well. This is coming. You might think this sounds like a mobile game, and maybe there will be a mobile offset at some shoot, but this is a PS4, Xbox One, and Switch title that's coming out in 2020. Pretty interesting, if I do say so myself. I've got this video uploading at the moment to YouTube, but Compile Heart debuted 12 minutes of Neptunia Virtual Stars gameplay in a new video published by its own virtual YouTuber, Isleheart, in collaboration with Updates Habaki Io. So these are the virtual YouTubers. I've never actually seen one of these in action before, so it looks like people, but they're virtual versions of themselves, and they're kind of hosting things. It's pretty wild looking, to be honest. I have saved you the trouble of watching the entire thing. I think it's about 24 minutes in total. I said, no, ain't got time for that. So I did a little snippy and got just those 12 minutes of actual, and I'm throwing up the air quotes, gameplay on this one. I didn't see a whole lot of gameplay. I didn't watch the entire thing as I was kind of getting annoyed with it, but it definitely shows the game being played by these two, and in more air quotes, people. It is funny to see their reactions. It's all in Japanese, of course, but I believe their in-game models were in there and things were happening to their models, so they were acting pretty hilariously to it. So if you're curious about that aspect of the game, you can check this out. By the time you listen to this, it should be up and live for you guys. I am really excited about this next story that we're going to talk about, and that is Cris Tales. Now, we've talked about this game a little bit off and on. Promising looking JRPG inspired title with some unique visuals. I dig them. I've talked to a couple people who, I'm not quite so sure. We've got a release date for it. It is coming out on November 17th. PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, PC via Steam, and Stadia as well. And so it is coming out at slightly reduced price. It's going to be $39.99. Publisher Modus Games and developers Dreams Incorporated in SYCK announced. There are also plans for a PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X version as well. You can watch or play the free demo right now on Steam, which has been updated with new enemies and new Coliseum battle mode. So that anytime you see a new game come out at $39.99, that is such a double-edged sword. So you give the impression of value, but you also give the impression of maybe this isn't a complete long game. Obviously, if you release a game at $60 and it turns out it's not a complete game, you have that backlash to deal with. This is all preconception, of course. Now, if you saw like a remaster come out at this price point, you'd think this was probably a fair price. So I'm happy that it's at $40, but then I'm also hesitant in the fact that maybe it's not a big long game. But that's two good pieces of information that we didn't have. Still a long ways away, but there is a opening cinematic trailer you can check out on YouTube as well. JRPG Report, and see that. I'm excited about it. I need to break out the old Steam account and download this demo. Maybe I can give you guys more of a hands-on impression, but everything I've seen so far gets me excited. We'll have to wait and see on that, but definitely good news. Cris Tales coming out on November 17th for everything besides mobile platforms. If you are waiting for Little Town Hero, it's PlayStation 4, Switch, and physical editions. Switch editions will be out on June 23rd and 26th, respectively. Well, Game Freak announced that Little Town Hero for PC via Steam will launch on June the 30th. The console versions are being published by NS America. The PC version is self-published by Game Freak, which kind of makes sense. It's just, a Steam download. Got a new trailer for Sword Art Online. There are actually 4 out over on the YouTube channel for Scion, Leafa, Lesbeth, and Silica. I broke it up for you so that you can check that out. It actually shows some gameplay with the characters on this one. Very exciting stuff. Seems like these other videos that we've gotten have just been what their interactions are. But this one was actual some pretty cool looking gameplay. Sword Art Online Owl Station Lycoris will be out on July the 10th worldwide. Mary Scudder finale. New week, new characters. This week we get to learn about Snow White, who is an honest and kind middle child among these three sisters. She has grown intellectually since breaking out of the underground prison, but is still as scatterbrained as ever. We have Kaguya, who is a girl who wears a kimono and has a calm aura. Still as much as a shut-in as ever, she hates physical activity. And then we've got Kavababak. What a weird name. Javabak. And he is simply described as an old man who appears out of nowhere. All right then. Not knowing a whole lot about this fellow. Mary Sculptor finale is due out for PlayStation 4 and Switch on October 8th in Japan. We got some fascinating gameplay footage from Haven from the PC Gaming Show. You can head over to YouTube and check that out. There was the opening, just kind of a cinematic type trailer for it, less than a minute long. But then there was a good 5+ minutes of gameplay actually thrown in there, showing off that unique turn-based battle system, them kind of flying around this alien planet, and it kind of looks like they're curing a corruption type of deal as they fly over, as the best way to kind of describe it. Also shows their interactions between each other as a couple. And so if you are a mature adult and you've dealt with relationships in the past, it's very curious, because this is not all the time in JRPGs we have couples and they grow through the bonds of battle and end up liking each other. But this one feels so much more real than anything else before. They're stranded on this island together, but they've got to work together. Obviously, it shows kind of their everyday activities as well as real conversations that they would have. It's just, I really dig the art style. I dig the concept. Battle system looks great. Just one of those games I'm very curious about. I really want to get my hands into something that's a little different, a little more real, but at the same time fantastical and out there at the same time. I really like those types of experiences. So if you're curious as well, you can head on over and check out that story. Upcoming here in just a few more days, on June the 23rd at 8 a.m. Pacific time or 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the States, there will be the New Game Plus Expo. Now, they released a trailer for this, but it was purely just going down the list of companies that will be participating in this one. Here is what is presented. They say, as far as upcoming releases, we're going to hear from Gung Ho Online Entertainment America. Remember, they're the ones that did the Grandia HD collection. Idea Factory International, Koei Tecmo America, and Sega/Atlas. My ears are pinned to this one to know what is going to be coming out as far as upcoming releases for this. Are we going to get something that we didn't know about? Are we going to get some clarifications on it? We've got, they say, exciting announcements coming from Inti Creates, Axis Games, Natsume, NIS America, and Playism. And then they say there's plenty of surprises from Actil, ACTTIL, Arc System Works America, SNK Corporation, Spike Chunsoft, and Wave Forward. So this could be lots of good stuff thrown out there for us. This could be a giant nothing burger. Really not sure which way it could go. But let's see, the 23rd. Oh, perfect. That's next Tuesday. So check us out on Wednesday. We'll completely cover everything that's announced at this expo, and just keep your fingers crossed. Obviously, selfishly, I'd love to hear a Cold Steel 4 release date, and we would really like to see some news on Ys 9 coming to the West, but a lot of good stuff could come out of this. I don't know. I mean, with Koei Tecmo, maybe this is the next Atelier. I would think we'd hear about that more Japan first, but who knows? Maybe Sega and Atlas, they're finally going to give us that Persona 5 Strikers announcement that I've been really looking forward to. A lot of good stuff could come out of this, things that we don't even know about. So definitely check back next week and we will talk all about New Game Plus Expo. If you got some money burning a hole in your pocket, I have shared 2 stories over on the Facebook page of some interesting looking Japanese swag that you can go. The first up is Square Enix has thrown out a whole lot of products from the Nier line of games. Let's see. First up are 2 Nier music boxes. These are the least expensive on there. They're very small, little hand-wound models, and they're about $18 each. If you would really like to tote around one of 2 Nier umbrellas, you can be that person. They're going for about $30 each. The first one is all black, and it just says Nier Automata on it with the Yorha for the Glory of Mankind logo on the side. The other one is design is Emil's head in black dots on the top of it. So that one would be a little bit more perhaps frightening to other people. Then there are 2 rings that you could get. Each one is made of SV925 silver and inspired by designs from certain characters. They are both going for $138. The first ring has angel characters on it from Nier Gestalt / Replicant. And then one for Nier Automata's ring has 2B's skirt design on it. So yeah, if you've got some extra cash and you love Nier, well, you can check out those. The next one is if you're all about the Romancing Saga. Square Enix has put out a ton of products for it. They include 2-fold wallets, a crossbody bag, watches. That's all from Romancing Saga, the first one. There are ones from Romancing Saga 2. Is a 2-fold wallet, a tote bag, and also a watch. Romancing Saga 3 gets a 2-fold wallet and watch as well, but there's a backpack that you can get for it. These prices are all in yen, and nothing is cheap. The cheapest one are the 2-fold wallets, going for about 11,800 yen, up to the watches going for about 20,000 yen. Not cheap, but if you want these things, I'm sure they are well made. I'm sure there are a couple of you enjoying Phantasy Star Online 2 for your PC or Xbox One. Well, they've kind of outlined what's going to be going on here for the next couple months. First, Sega will release Episode 4 in North America. This will come in August and on what they call additional PC platforms soon. There's a launch trailer to go along with that as well. But they also kind of laid out the roadmap. And what they are basically saying is they're going to catch up the past 8 years worth of content for Phantasy Star Online 2 this year. Now, I just said Episode 4 is not coming out until August. So by that logic, they got quite a bit more to go. In context, Episode 3 launched back in 2014. So we're catching up pretty quickly with it. Episode 4 that's coming out in August. Episode 5 sometime in quarter 3. 6 in quarter 4. So that'll get everybody completely caught up on everything that's been already released in Japan. Quickly speaking, I am having a lot more fun with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. I'm kind of plowing right through the game. I'm loving most parts of it. The story is what's really keeping me going. The gameplay is fun, and I'm kind of starting to turn that corner. I kind of feel like the past couple nights of playing, I kind of hit that stride to where maybe you finally get a few things. It's certainly in part 2, it was very much that you wanted to break your opponent and then topple and daze them. And then you could really do some significant damage. I can't figure out a way not to have Shulk, Ryan, Rain, and Sharla in my party. Shulk is your damage guy. Ryan is your... he's the tank. He takes all the damage and gets all their attention. And Sharla basically heals. Now, I've read a couple articles, and I'm sure you guys maybe even know how to do this, how to play with other players and mitigate damage since you heal after the battle, but my brain just doesn't work that way. I am old school programmed JRPG, where that's the 3 people you have to have, and if you've got 4, you'd put in a magic dealer, but that's the staple that I've always worked with. I don't think I'm ruining anything, but at some point you do have to play without Sharla. You have to play with certain characters at certain times in most games. And I was able to skim by for a while using an article told me that this was a good to put Dunban in there. No, he's not Duncan. Dunban in there. And I was able to get by, but as soon as I could, she was back in there. So if you've got some advice for me and want to head over to the Facebook page or send me an email at jrpgreport@gmail.com, say, hey, this is how you need to do it now. Not just what characters to put in there, but how to set them up as to best do that. Like I said, my brain just doesn't work any other way. That's how I got set my party. And honestly, like I said, the past 2 nights, I really started to get it and was not struggling quite a bit. The game loves to throw big amounts of people at you and make things difficult. But I'm learning to cope with that more and more each time and starting to enjoy it more and more each time. The side quests are still ridiculous. There are still some... I got to this one point and you're basically having to fight these things on this narrow little bridge, and if you fall off the bridge, it's not like certain death, but you do fall down into basically this poison, and then you can't get back up out of it, and it's just... then you die. So that was... there's those little frustrating parts to it, but the game is really, really cool, and I am quite enjoying it. Again, my apologies for being such a hater on it a few weeks ago, but it's quite come along indeed. I got one more story for you guys, and this will wrap up today's podcast. We got a new overview trailer talking about the companions and combat details for Paper Mario, the Origami King. Nintendo released this the other day. It's a pretty long video, about 5 or so minutes long. Of course, the game is due out for Switch on July the 17th. We kind of know what's going on with the story with this one. And so here are some of what's talked about. The cast of off-the-wall characters that adds an extra dimension to this expedition. There's the Babam, who's lost his memory, a Toe professor of ancient history, and Kamek. Magic Koopa, who's always got something up his sleeve. Mario finds assistance along the way from friends like Olivia, the good-natured sister of King Ollie, and even Bowser himself. Now, Paper Mario, they talk about the battle system here. It delivers a new ring-based battle system that requires strategy and quick thinking to line up enemies and execute well-timed attacks to maximize damage. They say it'll take a sharp mind to determine when to stomp enemies with Mario's boots, and when to whack them with a hammer, and then when to strategically use items to heal or attack. They have the audience of cheering toads They're ready to pitch in with a variety of helpful battle aids. They say just in case Mario starts to fold under pressure. He'll face some of the most intimidating foes in the showdown against the Legion of Stationery. Bosses themed around stationery like colored pencils, sticky tape, and rubber bands. When he's not duking out in the ring, he can investigate suspicious spots to uncover hidden items, toss confetti to repair holes in the landscape, and discover loads of toads hiding in the scenery. Play mini-games to earn in-game rewards, and reveal an abundance of secrets and treasures. So here's the deal with Mario the Origami, Paper Mario the Origami King. This game looks cute as could be. It looks fun. It is certainly a continuation of the past couple Paper Mario games. And if you're like myself and Jeff from the group, longtime listener, we're kind of a bit over it. That I think for gamers like us, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door was